Howdy y'all, back again with the Seedsman Northern Lights Auto. This is day 4. Take a peek here. Yeah, it doesn't seem to be doing much up top, but last time I looked, the roots were growing straight down. They looked much thicker than I expected for a tiny little seedling like that, and they're really fuzzy. So I think everything's working out right so far. I had a couple questions here. Hopefully somebody else can chime in here and enlighten me on this. So the other day here, I turned my full spectrum live power spectra TC600 bloom and the veg all the way up to 100%, which basically turns everything on. It's full spectrum. It's all the lights are on, you know. And when I used the light meter from Photone, I think it is, it showed that the Kelvin color temperature was like 13,000. And I know that most people run for veg, I think it's like 5,500 to 6,500 Kelvin. And for flower, it's like 2,700, somewhere in there. Now I understand there's a difference between Kelvin and the actual spectrum, like the wavelength of the different colors that the plant can use and photosynthesize. I looked up my light, and I believe that it's full spectrum. Now I know there's some gimmicks out there, but I looked up the lights, and as far as I can tell, the only thing that's really like kind of lacking is I might not have a whole lot of green spectrum, but it's kind of debatable if that's really needed or not. I know it's supposed to be good for penetration of the leaves, and it'll help with secondary buds and stuff like that when I get to that point. But I'm not sure exactly how that works because I'm not there yet. But I am wondering if anybody else has ran their lights at full spectrum and had a Kelvin rating of like 12,000. I mean, as you can see, so wait a minute. It's basically replicating like daylight. So it's not really, there's a blue tinge to it, but it's mostly just bright light. You know, it's not really blue, it's not really purple, it's not really like red. I mean, I guess it's more blue than anything else, but it just looks like just clear blue, well, clear light to me as far as I can tell. But yeah, I just wondered if anybody else might know a little bit more about that. I'm running like 12,000 Kelvin, you know, the color temperature. Another question I had was, so I only have, I believe this is a 3-gallon bucket, and I'm not filling it up to the top, obviously. So I only really have about 2 gallons to work with 2 gallons of water in there, of reverse osmosis water. Probably the bottom inch or maybe the bottom 2 inches of the net pot is submerged in the water. Now right now, I think my roots are just starting to touch the water. They have not come out of the bottom of the net pot yet. Now, I know that most people, they say to have the water level about 1 inch below the net pot. I just wondered, because if the roots are going to be submerged in the water anyway, what difference does it really make if the water's 1 inch up on the net pot or 1 inch down on the net pot? If somebody else can tell me, you know, give me some perspective on that, because the roots are going to be submerged anyway, so since I'm limited on with a 3-gallon bucket, if I can use 2 gallons pretty much all the way through, it'll make measurement of my newts and measurement of the ppm a lot simpler, just because it's 2 gallons or 7.5 liters, and it just makes measuring out the newts a lot easier. If I have to use 1.5 gallons to get the water level to be about 1 inch below the net pot, it's just going to make it a little more complicated. It's not that big of a deal, but I just figured if somebody else might know, there might be a better reason to not have the water level, 1 inch up on the net pot. But as you can see, the plant looks pretty good. It's just a little seedling, day 4. I don't see the second set of true leaves yet. I'm going to check tomorrow morning. But as far as I can tell, everything's nice and green. The first set of true leaves are developing, they're stretching out, and everything seems to be working just fine. We'll just have to wait and see, I guess. But if anybody else can chime in and answer a few of these questions for me, just post a comment, and I'll be very much appreciative of that. I think that's about it. Alright, like, comment, share, subscribe, all that stuff. There we go.